Have you ever wondered how to split strings of text into different parts? For example, breaking up a single column containing full names of individuals into 3 different columns, one for the first, last, and middle name. Being able to do so makes it a whole lot easier to analyze such data with each of the components shown separately. And so in today's video, we're going to look at some of the techniques that we can use to split strings of text. My name is Albert, and on this channel I share Microsoft Excel insights that are less known or understood, but do help to increase efficiency when using this popular spreadsheet software. Now let us turn to the computer and see all of this in action. Right here I've got a column containing full names, and I'll need to break them up into 3 different columns. First name column, the middle name column, and the last name column. But before we do that, we will try to locate a few things within this text. And to do that, I'm going to need to populate these helper columns. Now, the first thing I'll need to find is the first space within each of these names, and the second space, if applicable, and the third space, if applicable. I will also need to work out the length of these full names in characters. So let's start by trying to find the first space that occurs in these names. So we shall use the find formula, equals find, open brackets. What are we going to find? The find text is this space, which we enclose in quotation marks, comma, and the within text is the full name itself, comma, and where do we want to start our find from? That will be position number 1. Close bracket, press enter, and that's it. So in the case of the first full name, the first space has been located in position number 4. Now we need to try and find the second space. And to do that, we'll use the find formula again. Same thing, we want to find a space which we shall enclose within a pair of quotation marks, comma, and within text will be our C3 again, comma, but this time the starting number will be the first space, the position of the first space plus 1. Close bracket, press enter, and we get a value error. So we need to use the IFERROR function to change this value error to something more meaningful. And in this case, I'm just going to put in an empty string of text. So wrap everything within the IFERROR function or formula, like, and the value to return if there's an error. I want just an empty string of text. Close bracket, press enter, and there we are. We need to find the third space, if applicable. Same thing, equals find. Find text is an empty, it's a string, is a space within quotation marks, comma, within text is C3, and the starting number or the starting position is where we found our second space plus 1. Close bracket, press enter. Once again, we get a value error. We need to display something more sensible. So we will need to wrap all of this within the IFERROR function and then define a value in case an error is returned. So I'll do that. IFERROR, open brackets, and at the end, the value I want to be returned in case there's an error is an empty string, which is simply an empty pair of quotation marks. Close brackets, press enter, and that's what we get. Finally, we need to work out the length of the full name, and that is simply using the len function. Equals len, open brackets, and the text is the full name itself, which is found in C3, close brackets, and press enter. And that's what we have. So the next thing we need to do is to copy all of these formulas all the way down. And that's what we get. In some of the cases, a second space has been found, as you can see. And in other cases, there's more than one, more than two. A third space has also been found. Brilliant. So now we can go and use this information that we've worked out within the helper columns to actually do the text splitting. To extract the first name, all we need to use is the left formula. And to do that, you simply type equals left, open brackets. The text is our full name, C3 in this case, and the number of characters is the position of the first space that we calculated before, -1. Close brackets, press enter. That's that one. To extract the middle name, we need to use the mid formula, which is right there. And we shall enter equals mid, open brackets. The text is the full name, which is C3, comma, and we want to start at the position of the first space +1, D3 +1, and the number of characters we want to extract is the position of the second space, if applicable, minus the position of the first space. And that's it. Obviously, in this first case, there was no second space. So we expect an error to be returned here. And there's a value error. Now we want to display that as an empty text string. So we'll simply need to wrap the whole formula within an IFERROR formula, open brackets, and just before we close it off, we need to define the value if there's an error. And the value I want is an empty string of text, which is just 2 quotation marks. Close brackets, press enter, and that's what we have. To extract the last name, we'll need to use the right formula, that one there. So I shall enter equals right, open brackets. The first argument, the text, is the full name in C3, comma, and the number of characters I want to extract is determined by the length minus the position of the second space. E3. Close brackets, and we'll get an error simply because there was no number in for the second space. So we'll need to use the IFERROR formula again to define an alternative value to be returned in case there's an error. And to do that, we'll need to enclose all of this within the IFERROR function. IFERROR, open brackets, and the value to be returned in case there's an error will be right, open brackets, the full name, comma, and the number of characters I want to be returned is simply the difference between the length in G3 minus the position of the first space, which is in D3. Close the brackets for the right formula, and then close the brackets for the IFERROR formula. Press enter, and we get Fleming as the last name in this case. What we have done here is to define an alternative value to be returned. So this formula is currently flexible enough to return the last name in case there are 2 or 3 names involved in the full name. So what's left now is to copy these formulas all the way down, and that is the result that we get. In there we have 3 names: Suzanne, James, Wolf, first, middle name, and last name. That is returned correctly. Same here and same here. So now that we have split this full name column, it is so much easier now to do some additional analysis on this data. For example, if I wanted to quickly look at those names with a middle name, I can simply filter on the middle name column, take out the blanks, and I can see that from the data that we have, 4 people actually have middle names provided. If I wanted to filter for all those people whose last names begin with B, for example, I can do that quite easily. B star, and there we are. So 5 people in my data set actually have last names beginning with a B. And any other additional analysis you may want to do. All of that additional analysis can be done quite easily now that the data is broken up into different components. I hope you found that useful. These techniques can be applied to all sorts of strings of text. Sometimes it is product codes that have been attached to a product description. Sometimes it is an employee number that's shown together with the employee name. Sometimes it is an account number that is shown together with the account description. Different text strings can be broken up into different parts so that additional analysis can be done much more easily. Let me know in the comments below any feedback or additional thoughts you may have on these techniques. If you found this useful, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as well as the bell notification so you get notified when I release the next video. I'll see you on the next one.